Hello there! Welcome back to another episode of the book set Completionist, now at episode 33. Today I've got this stack of 6 books, and I'm reviewing 2 science fiction novels. Okay, let's go. This one, 6 books. However, a long time ago, when I planned to include this set in my channel, there were still only 6, but now there are 7. And there might be more in the future. I don't know. It's not finished. It's ongoing. But I'm gonna feature this set in my video right now because I just want to get it out of the way. Also, it's not a regular genre that I usually review or reveal on this channel. It is crime, mystery, thriller, suspense, something like that. These books were published between 1999 and 2017. The author is called Greg. And his last name is Isles. Greg Isles. And this is a series about the southern states in the United States. That's where it takes place. Mississippi, I think, is the main location there. And I'll reveal them to you right now. Greg Isles with this one, the Notches series, I think it's called, with the first part being The Quiet Game, followed by Turning Angel, then The Devil's Punch Bowl, Natchez Burning, The Bone Tree, and Mississippi Blood is a book that I have, the most recent one. Yeah. This one, a long time ago, more than 10 years, when I started my reading hobby, as it was, I went to my local book chain called Asia Books, and there was a bin with discounted books, and this one I thought would be nice. I had no idea what it was about. I like that, just pick a book and just start reading it. I didn't. I haven't started reading that one yet, because soon after I found out that this book is right in the middle of an entire series, and you cannot start somewhere in the middle, can you? No. This is a book published in 1976 by the author called John Brunner. It's science fiction. This book contains 3 short stories set in the same universe, and the characters do not appear in the other stories. It's really self-contained. Each story has its own beginning and ending and resolution. It's just that it all takes place in the same space empire, interstellar empire, right? And these stories were actually published before they were bound together in this novel, way before 76, 50s or 60s. So it's pretty old. The first story, which is probably the best, that's why it's first, is about a guy who lives in a monastery. He's a scholar. He studies the history of his universe, specifically his home planet, which is somewhere far away, because he moved away from his home planet after his brother became the king of that planet, and he felt that being there would somehow bother his brother, the king, and his other brothers also just exiled in a way. However, he gets a visit from one of the other brothers with a message that the brother who was the king of their home planet has been murdered. Yes. And they know who did it. It's some sort of evil witch with an evil guy helping her, and potentially an evil alien at the base of all that evil doing. And this brother and the other brother, they have to retrieve another brother. And so the 3 of them, they also have a sidekick, which is a mind-reading girl, and she is able to communicate with the main character telepathically. And so then this team sets out into a journey towards their home planet, and when they reach there, they need to figure out like who are these guys? Who is this witch? What's her power? And how can we stop her? And that is pretty interesting. It's like a little space adventure. Yeah, it's more like a fantasy story rather than science fiction. The science fiction element is limited to, like, okay, we can travel in space, and there are spaceships, and there are a few sort of advanced weapons around, but most of the time you'll just see them riding on a horse or having swords in their hands. So yeah. So how can we imagine humans being possible to populate space? Brunner takes this approach that a race of aliens who were technologically superior to anything else we've ever seen somehow vanished, and they left behind all their spaceships. And humankind picked up these spaceships, figured out how to use them, and then went across the galaxy and tried to colonize space like that. One of those aliens from that superior race appears in that first story. I'll spoil that. But overall, it's a fun, light read. It's fun. Did I say fun? It's fun. Okay. The second story is about a space pirate who has been betrayed by his former associates and is now trying to stop them from taking over a planet through some sort of conspiracy. They have planted one of their own inside a civil war. He managed to take a leadership position in that civil war and is pulling in all resources to fight a sort of hidden rebellious army. But that is not really what's going on. They're just making this war as a subterfuge for the other guys, the other space pirates, to invade the planet from the other side. And this main character knows that because he made that exact plan. But then he was betrayed. They actually killed his lover, and they kicked him off their spaceship, or he fled, and now he's on a planet and he's trying to stop them from attaining their goals. Yes. And the third story is about a planet whose king. Yeah, planets have kings in this in this universe. The king is dead. Different planet than the first one. The king is dead, and the princess is supposed to take his place, but there's another princess who had left the planet a long time before and is now coming back to take her place on the throne because she's the senior princess. And there follows a bit of a power struggle. There's one character who is like a magician who sees everybody's intentions and is trying to help whoever he believes has the best interests of everybody in mind. And it might not all be what it seems. A lot of plot twists, especially at the end. Yeah, that's when they happen. So overall, it's a nice collection of short stories in the same universe. I thought it had potential to be expanded. I thought there would be, well, there should be more of it. Yeah, the characters and the universe are well drawn out, and I think somebody should take it up. Is there any author around who can just say, okay, look, let's take an old science fiction novel. The author is not active anymore, so let's just take it and start from there and build on that foundation. Then we've got this one, The Coming by Joe Haldeman. He wrote this book in the year 2000. He's most famous for The Forever War, which is an older novel of his, very famous, science fiction. So when I saw this, like, okay, science fiction, right? Look at the cover, has to be. It does start out as such. This takes on the concept of a message from space from probably aliens who announce their arrival, or yeah, like say, oh, they're coming, right? The aliens are coming, they let us know in advance, and then the main character is a scientist who received this message and now has to inform the government, and they might want to take some precautions. This book takes place around the year 2050. where there have been a few technological advancements. Like we have satellites that can shoot super strong weapons at space or at our own planet if we wish to do so. The United States is still the biggest power, although in Europe there's also power, but they're at war with each other. France and Germany are again at war with each other, he imagines. And at the backdrop of that, now there's this possible invasion coming up. And the United States is trying to launch more of these satellites in order to, repel the aliens, but at the same time, possibly also point them at their enemies, whoever they may be. Yes, that sounds all nice, but soon after the book starts with that interesting premise, it just goes into everyday characters doing their daily business, having their problems. It just stops being about aliens. It's more about their problems and their conflicts than about the aliens that are coming. Like, there's a guy who's been blackmailed for having a homosexual relationship with a policeman, and a mafia guy is coming over to extort him. Somehow that mobster gets killed through some mysterious weapon that is unexplained, maybe alien, but how? And then there are other characters who go through their life problems. There's a lot of that, but it just doesn't really cover anything about the alien arrival, except maybe a message that comes almost at the end of the book, where they are telling everybody that they're coming at that specific date, at that specific place, so that people should get ready. And now I'm going to spoil it because this is not a good book and you should not read it. So when the aliens finally arrive, they turn out not to be aliens at all. They turn out to be us, humans, from the future, 500 years from the future. They've come back to give us a warning that, well, what? In the future, 500 years from now, people are still there. The human race still exists. That's it. But why have they come back then? What's the whole point? Is it to prevent a war between France and Germany, with potentially the US getting involved too, with all sorts of terrible ramifications? Is that the reason why they've come? Because one thing that happens as a result of the announcement of the aliens is that one member of the US government suicide bombs the entire administration after the administration announced their idea to put these space weapons in orbit through satellites, which would then cause probably the escalation of the conflict on Earth, because France and Germany would not agree with the US having sort of like nuclear weapons in space, which they could use at any time. So the American government wants to put those satellites in orbit, and then one member says, no, you cannot do that, but he's powerless on his own, except, well, here he blows everybody up. Is that then what stops that war from escalating? Is that the direct consequence of the alien arrival? So then you get that grandfather paradox. Like, if you travel back in time to stop something from happening in your time, then the moment that you achieve that, your timeline would change. That massive thing did not happen, which would then also take away the motivation for you to travel back in time, right? If your timeline is linear, it's like, okay, like the baby Hitler idea. If you travel back in time to kill Hitler, then Hitler would never have been born. He would never have done all the things he's done. And then in that time, Hitler would not have been there. And so there would not be a future where people needed to respond to Hitler being there and doing his things, right? And so there's no reason to travel back in time. And so that doesn't happen. But if it doesn't happen, then Hitler didn't die, and he did do all these things that he did. So that's like a paradox. Now, this has been solved by saying that, okay, the moment that you travel back in time, you enter an alternative timeline where things happen as a result of whatever action is taken by the people who traveled back in time, but the time where they came from is still intact, right? It's still responding to the things that actually happened the first time around. But when you change those things, you enter in a parallel timeline where these things didn't happen. Yeah, okay. This is all just from what I know. The book does not address any of it. It doesn't even answer why these humans came back from the future. It doesn't really explain anything. And so that's the disappointing part about it. It's just a lot of filler with uninteresting, well, it may be interesting with just not what we or I expected from this book. So there are probably a lot of other books that are better at doing mundane crime-related stuff, personal relationship stuff. So for that, you don't need to read this book. And for the science fiction, it's hardly there either. So all in all, don't read this book. Don't bother. So there we go. One good book, one bad book. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.